Donald Trump reacted to the Jeffrey Epstein files. The US president spoke about his role in the scandal, while in Russia, officials again said that no real progress should be expected from the negotiations. My name is Albina Pidhirnyak, more news coming up. When asked about the Epstein files, Trump said he had nothing to hide and that he had been fully cleared.
She and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Productive talks are expected in Geneva, but everything comes down to territories, said the US ambassador to NATO. According to Matthew Whitaker, Washington is still not sure whether Russia is truly ready to end the war.
Obviously, the president is giving peace and diplomacy a chance, but he's also been very clear that the number one state sponsor of terror can't have nuclear weapons or the capacity to build them. And he has been very clear about that. He obliterated their program once with Operation Midnight Hammer, and certainly that threat looms while having a armada very close to that region. So, President Trump, in this case, holds all the decisions, but he's willing to give real diplomacy a chance to solve this peacefully. But if it doesn't, as he said, it will be a very bad day for Iran.
I want to play a quick clip from Secretary of State Rubio talking about the Russia-Ukraine negotiations.
We don't know if the Russians are serious about ending the war. They say they are, and under what terms they were willing to do it, and whether we can find terms that are acceptable to Ukraine upon that Russia will always agree to. But we're going to continue to test it.
So, realistically speaking, where do those negotiations stand?
Well, expect productive talks in Geneva, but obviously, as the Secretary of State has pointed out, it's going to take both sides to come up with a way that they can agree to end this war. I mean, it needs to end. The bloodbath needs to stop, as President Trump has been very clear. But at the same time, these are very complex, complicated matters. It's down to, as Steve Witkoff said a couple weeks ago, really one issue, and that is territories. But that's going to be the trickiest, toughest issue. And so we're going to continue to work it. And you know what? President Trump gets all the credit because he's the only person that could bring both sides to the table and keep working to make a deal if one can be made.
A large number of drones struck territory in Russia and the temporarily occupied areas today. Explosions were reported in Krasnodar Krai, Sevastopol, and were also heard in Tatarstan as well as in several other regions. In Russia, they are actively trying to push the narrative that Ukraine has already lost. This messaging becomes especially aggressive during another round of negotiations.
They all already understand perfectly well that they have lost. And it was not so much Ukraine that lost, but it was the United Europe that lost. The United States, they quietly moved away from this matter. And, of course, they need to somehow say something to their taxpayers, from whom they took the money and gave it to Zelensky's gang with their own hands, who stole it into their pockets. They will say that Ukraine has won. Ukraine will win when it is part of the Russian Federation.
Russian publics are showing the arrival of Russian delegation at the talks. It looks like the delegation of terrorist state is being welcomed secretly. Meanwhile, Peskov said no mere progress should be expected from the talks. Maybe that is why Russia replaced the head of its negotiation team with Medinsky.
Trilateral Russian-American-Ukrainian talks will continue today in Geneva. A delegation is there. I do not think that we should expect any news today, because, as you know, it is planned that the work will continue tomorrow. There are no reports, there are no plans in this regard. Well, of course, everything will be hidden from the press by the regime.
Can you tell me when the negotiations should begin today? In time?
Well, they decide on the spot. Now, within a couple of hours, they will definitely begin.
Peskov said he was surprised and outraged that while Russia is bombing Ukraine, Ukraine doesn't want to transport Russian energy resources through its territory to Hungary.
The Hungarian MOL reported that Hungary may unseal its strategic oil reserves against the backdrop of supply disruptions through Druzhba and energy shortages. Tell us, please, does Russia consider increasing oil supplies to Hungary through Croatia as an opportunity?
These are, of course, issues that are discussed at the corporate level by companies that provide supplies and have contractual obligations. We see that, of course, a certain energy blackmail on the part of Ukraine against EU member Hungary is taking place. We are in contact with buyers, but here the situation is complicated by this position of Ukraine.
The battle for Bakhmut lasted almost a year. I want to show you a video of what Russian forces turned a Ukrainian city into a place where life once existed.
That's it. Oh, you. So our winter is summer? Oh, winter is spring. Season. See? ATV. New comfortable apartments, right? Yes. Housing Office Artemovska. Housing Office of Marta and Wagner. Destroyed from the 22nd year, from the 23rd year. Aha. Are these guys going to a disco? Yes, yes, yes. Oh.
Sabinin is the mayor here.
What?
Sabinin will be the mayor here. He will make all the apartments. Come on.
And this house, look, is still alive, more or less. Here it is.
There are 5 here.
In this house?
And in the next from the end.
Here is still a lively one. We gnawed a little. Well, that's all.
Well, it is also, probably, as a center, most likely small.
Yes, yes. Here is the stadium here.
Yes.
Blue, yellow. New cars are standing, salons. Soon minibuses will be launched. Let's go.
Thank you, dear viewers, for supporting Ukraine. Please like this video and write where you're watching us from. Stand with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.